in the Maha Vihara under the or by the side of the Bodhi tree is world famous. And when I think of education, I think of Magadh, I think of Bodh Gaya, I think of Lord Buddha. Why? Why I think? Because it is not Magadh or Bodh Gaya alone installed all over the world, and so many in the place of origin where he attained supreme enlightenment in Bodh Gaya. Similarly, there is a very, very famous Lord Buddha's statue near Kabul, which is called the Bamiyan statue. Bamiyan statue of Lord Buddha is world famous, like the Lord Buddha's statue in the Mahavihar near the holy Bodhi tree. Even Hiuen Tsang, the great contributor to human civilization, I don't feel Hiuen Tsang to be just a traveler from China. If you ask me, I want to compare his contributions to human civilization and say at par with those of our great emperor Asoka. When Hiuen Tsang reached Bodh Gaya in 631 AD, on his way to Bodh Gaya, to India, through the western world of China, he traveled. Which road he traveled through? He traveled through Tashkent, he traveled to Samarkand. Then he prayed before the statue of Lord Buddha in 629 in Kabul. That is how Magadh, Bodh Gaya, Kabul is linked up with education of Lord Buddha. What is Lord Buddha's education? Education in any sphere, in any discipline, in its implications, is a very vast and endless subject. There is no end to education. There may be beginning of education, but no end to it. As you know, even in today's pure physics, since the days of Isaac Newton, or even earlier scientists, up to Professor Einstein, physics is not a limited subject. It cannot be studied, cannot be completed. A lifetime is a mere, it is an iota in the eternity of time to understand. From those things, from his the theory of gravitation, when he saw that apple falling from the tree down to the ground, why didn't the apple fly above? Why did it fall to the ground? The theory of gravitation. The other day in 2010, they have discovered the hardest element in existence, which is 200 times stronger than steel. So, it's an endless thing. As you know, the Nobel Prize was given to two physicists of Cambridge University. One of them is only 36 years old scientist. And they have discovered an element. It is of huge potentiality, which might do away with all the ships of the Silicon Valley. So education is endless. And we are concerned with education in the universities, with higher education. Education itself is such a vast subject. It keeps on developing. It is a continuous subject. So what did in 600 BC, 2600 years from today, Lord Buddha teach us? He taught us so many things. Not only to the people of Magadha, he taught to the whole humankind the teachings. He is the greatest teacher. If there ever was a teacher, all are teachers. Jesus Christ is a teacher. Prophet Muhammad is a teacher. In their own way, through their perceptions. But Lord Buddha was a teacher. He was a teacher not to any people of any region, any religion, any culture. His teachings were for entire humanity. And what did he teach? He taught so many things. And those are, in a limited way, as contained, translated and preserved by Huyen Tsang. Those are, and other scholars, those are contained in 3 baskets. All he taught, the genesis and the crux of his teachings are contained in 3 baskets. Tripitaka. Tripitaka literally means 3 baskets. There are teachings which are spilled over, which are not preserved, more than what contained these 3 baskets, Tripitaka. And that's being translated the world over now. Just now I met a very ardent educationist of Buddha's teachings who has come from California and who was carrying on for the last 15 days the recitation of those teachings under that holy tree at Bodh Gaya. And they have got an international citation council of Tripitaka. I saw that lady while coming to his convocation. I talked to her, I met her. So how these teachings are being taught, and that is education. We must remember what do we mean. In a formal sense, we have got in our country 3 types of education, 3 stages of education. We call them formally primary school, primary stage of education, secondary school stage of education, and lastly, higher or university education. In this university, we are associated with the higher stage of education. We know we cannot build a strong superstructure on weaker substructures if education is not sound, is not properly, correctly given to our children at the primary stage and at the secondary stage. We cannot have a very perfect or useful system of education at the higher stage alone in the universities. Nevertheless, it is essential. We cannot do away with it also. But we have need also to think of newer horizons. We in India, we look for newer horizons. What? We should devise and think of professional and vocational education. And I feel the need for professional and vocational education in India, a developing country, not developed fully. Our need is for professional and vocational education is much more than mere formal education. We have got many formal educated unemployed, and that's the biggest number. The bulk of our unemployment is from this stream, who has got formal education, but they have not been able to prove themselves as useful citizens to the present society. Higher education, of necessity, must be a limited education. It's not necessary that every student who passes out through primary schools or secondary schools must himself get admitted in higher education in a university. It's not necessary. Higher education is needed for traversing other fields, for going into the endless expanse of research and further knowledge. Everything is now linked up. Knowledge economy, knowledge industry, knowledge transformation. IT, what we call, we have been hearing these things, information technology. What is this information technology? Information technology is the craze of this era, and information technology has developed our society. It has brought down, in the real sense, the distance between from one place of the globe to the other place. In making the globe, in making the earth a global village, information technology's contribution is very great. But we must make use of it. We must see how it benefits our quality of life. We are moving in higher education. We have got so many universities in our country, but I feel, being associated with the universities for a few years, I find that there is great need for structural reforms, structural change in our primary, secondary and higher education in all the three stages. And it is most needed at the university level. Structural change. Why? To bring about qualitative change in imparting education, being benefited by those who receive education from the universities in different faculties, in different disciplines. Structural change is needed. And that's what I feel, because when I consider there are more than 200 universities in our country, but research is going on. There are so many research scholars. In every university there are so many research scholars in so many disciplines, on so many topics. But the sorry state of affairs, we are not able to produce any Amartya Sen, any Hargobind Khurana from any of the Indian universities. That is the tragedy, that is the lacking in our universities. 200 universities carrying on research, we are not able to produce during the last 60 years of our own independent existence. One Amartya Sen we are not able to produce from our universities, from the Indian soil. Not even Hargobind Singh Khurana, the father of genetic science. He is a Punjabi, but it's not Punjab University or any Indian university who produced him. He was produced by University of America. So that's why I always advocate structural reform in the universities. In their structure, in their syllabus of education prescribed, in their mode of research, everywhere there should be a real look, a close look, and accordingly we must go for it. Ladies and gentlemen, I was talking about IT education. Today, this Convocation Day is an exciting moment both for students and teachers who have shaped these students, who have got degrees or postgraduate degrees or even postgraduate degrees, PhDs and other doctorate degrees. It is an exciting moment for them because any graduation or any achievement one makes in life is a major milestone in his educative life. Education is a long time process and they will have to acquire education and make them fit. They are trained here, they are transformed here. What is the purpose of education? To get oneself trained and transformed so that they become agents, they become instrumental, they become prime movers for training and transforming other people in the society around them. So, I not only congratulate the recipients of different degrees from this Magadha University, today I also wish them, I give them my best wishes for their future, for their very fruitful, eventful and effective life in days ahead to come. My best wishes to them. Now, as I looking at these problems, I feel that our administratively and academically, our universities have to change, well, to remodel certain things. But I am happy to say that the government of Bihar and even the government of India are taking this task very seriously and they are putting all their heads together to find a way out. And I was delighted to hear that this Magadha University is they are making an agreement with Kabul Afghan University through an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. I think this process should be carried out because we cannot wait any longer. 15 years in 21st century is equal to 1 century earlier. 15 years or 20 years in 21st century not only may not be in time, but in the content of time, in the achieving the fruits of time, it will be equal to 17th or 18th century. World is moving that fast. We need to go faster. We need to think even more elaborately. Horizons are expanding everywhere, in all directions. Human mind, that is what Lord Buddha 2600 years back said. All we are arises with our thoughts. Mind precedes every mental state. This is the teaching of Lord Buddha. So we must know how to move fast, in time, in achievement, in content that throws up by time itself. So, not only with Kabul, should go for with all the best universities of the world. Go ahead in that direction also, as far as you can. Please sign an MOU with Seoul University of South Korea, Tokyo University of Japan, Melbourne University of Australia. Why not? So many our teachers are working in the Middle East. Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Jeddah, everywhere. In Jordan, in Tel Aviv. So, get the best out of that. And let them be benefited what we can give them. So exchange of what? Not a few dances or songs alone, but the cultural wealth, the pearls of wisdom, the pearls of thoughts, that must be exchanged. And what do we do? What do we do? We produce products in the universities. From where? Only from one thing, the mind. The caliber, the brain, the mind. And that is what Lord Buddha 2600 years said. Mind precedes all mental states. Whether you are angry, whether you feel dejected, or you have got some dreams to transform, or you have thought of helping somebody, for every action, it is mind that guides you. So, universities develop people, talent,